think a lot of Americans have this frustration that they see that the United States has the greatest military in the world. It has the backing of nearly every other country in the world when it comes to taking on ISIS. And I guess the question is, and if you'll forgive the language, is why can't we take out these bastards?
Well, Jim, I just spent the last 3 questions answering that very question. So I don't know what more you want me to add.
Yeah, and stop bothering me. You know, yeah, really, enough of this. I got better things to do, and this was a setback. These dead people, they're just a setback, and it's me, I, and I'm doing the right thing, and it's not just me who thinks that. Everybody thinks that. Joining us now on the Malzberg panel, I'm happy to say, Brigitte Gabriel, president of Act for America and author of They Must Be Stopped, and Robert Spencer, director of Jihad Watch and vice president of American Freedom Defense Initiative. And welcome to both of you. You know, with the breaking news today again, that the soccer stadium in Hanover, Germany, was evacuated, tens of thousands of people and government leaders evacuated, and supposedly they're saying, the police are, that they thwarted plans for major explosions at that stadium. Brigitte, where the heck are we here?
Well, things are getting out of hand, because this is what happens when you let the enemy into the gates, because once they are inside, you really can't do anything to stop them. And that's exactly what Europe did. Everybody was so excited. I mean, remember in Germany, they were clapping, they were welcoming the refugees, they were handing them bottles of water. They were so compassionate, and all of a sudden reality hit just weeks later. And this is exactly now what's going on in Europe. They are reaping the results of their ignorance, of letting their emotion rule instead of logic, because these refugees were not vetted, and now Europe is on high alert and they cannot do anything about it.
And Robert, you know, we hear so much from the left that, you know, what France is doing, 3 months now, and they want to extend it beyond that. They could go into anybody's home, you know, any suspect, they could arrest people without warrants and lock them up and search their homes, and that's a good thing. But is it going to spread throughout Europe? Is Europe going to wise up? Is Great Britain going to do this? Is Germany going to do this? Or are they going to wait for, God forbid, the bombs to go off and then say, oh, now we have to do something, and by then it might be too late?
I would expect that the British and the Germans both will wait until it is too late, Steve, just based on the policies that they've pursued up to now. The British already have been favoring Islamic jihadis. Just today, there was a story about 2 confessed members of jihad terror groups who were let off. No prison time, nothing. They can just go back to the jihad. That's Britain for you today. And Germany has been welcoming these migrants with no thought whatsoever as to the fact, not just the possibility, but the fact that the Islamic State has already threatened to send jihadis among the refugees. They said months ago that they had 4,000 jihadis already in place in Europe due to the refugee influx, and that more were coming all the time. It isn't as if they weren't warned, and they've been doing nothing but bringing more in. And so I don't see them turning around and getting any common sense anytime soon.
And Brigitte, that brings us to right here in the United States with our feckless leadership. And we heard from him yesterday, and again, everybody from the left to the right, the Washington Post called him petulant. You know, people have called him on the left, you know, disengaged, out of touch, you know, living in a fantasy world. And he wants to keep those Syrian refugees coming in, 65,000, 100,000. They'll be vetted, don't worry. But there are Syrian refugees here. And we learned today that there's one missing in, I believe, Louisiana, and that the agencies in charge of keeping track of these people supposedly have admitted they don't keep track of them.
And that's the scary part. So now the president, which even the leftist media is turning against him, isn't it amazing? Who would have thought we're going to get to this day? But they are realizing that he is basically a girly man in empty suit sitting at the White House, endangering the country. But we have already seen the writing on the wall in Europe, Steve. Look at the refugees that disappeared out of the refugee camps in Europe, in the hundreds that went unaccounted for. They came in as refugees and then they disappeared. And you've heard me say before, Europe is a preview as to what's coming to the United States. And we're seeing it starting to happen here now. And that's why it is vital that the American public stands up now and does everything we possibly can to stop the refugees from being resettled in the United States. And by the way, I know that the governors are coming out and they are saying we will not accept any refugees coming into our states. That's good, but the governors have no right or no authority. Only the president and the State Department have the final say-so. And
well,
that's
Paul Ryan has said today that they're going to try to stop the funding of it. We'll see if that works. But Robert,
Yes.
you know, and I want both of you to address this in the final segment here. On Sunday, less than 48 hours, while the bodies were still laying in that concert hall, Barack Obama sends a message. He releases 5, I'm watching my language here, 5 terrorists from Gitmo. The timing sends a message in my mind. What about it, Robert?
Yeah, he was saying, here, let me help you restock your leadership in case that you lose any people in Paris. It was absolutely unconscionable. And it's just as ill thought out or as malevolent as his claim that he's going to vet the refugees. There's no vetting them. There are no records in the first place. And also, how is a government that won't even acknowledge that there is a jihad threat going to screen out people who are a jihad threat?
What about
it doesn't make any sense.
Brigitte?
By the way, these Syrians, most of them are neither Syrian nor refugees. They come from different countries like Eritrea, Tunisia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan. A lot of them don't even speak Arabic or Syrian, and they cannot even tell you where they come from in Syria. That's the danger.
Guys, we have to end it there. Very well said. Brigitte Gabriel, Robert Spencer. Couldn't think of 2 better people to weigh in on this. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, Ben Stein will give us his take. Don't go away.